What's up, y'all? I know I be looking crazy with my hat, never have it on straight. Anyways, okay. So feel like I should tell some stories about some things that happened in '06 with me and my best friend. One of them, because I was trying to think of what else I could tell about '06 in the summer. Before I skip to the next year of what I remember, and I was looking for something to think about, and I looked down and I saw a picture of my mom, my two aunts, and it reminded me of, I'm pretty sure, that day, and I'm pretty sure it was in '06. So thank you for the inspiration, mom, for this one. So me and my it was my dad. So my aunt lived in this certain area away from us. It was not in the ghetto, and where she lived was not ghetto. It's called Whiting, Indiana, and she lived in Whiting, Indiana. So she had a pool in the backyard, and she was cooking out, and she was married to this man who was living in Whiting, Indiana. Because typically I feel like white people live in Whiting. When I hear Whiting, I think white people. It sounds just like it too. No disrespect, not, I could be wrong, but as far as I remember growing up, and going through there was a lot of white people. I feel like, um, and it's a nicer area, compared to where I'm from. I feel like. So she was having a cookout at her husband's house at the time, and shout out to her. My aunt is a very strong woman. Uh, I hope she doesn't mind me telling a little bit of her history. She, battled with addictions, and she overcame it. Went to rehab, and now she's clean. Been clean for so many years. Goes to meetings all the time. When she moves to another state, she finds out where they have meetings and participates with the meetings, and they help her a lot. And obviously, because this woman goes through so much and so many surgeries and never takes any pain medications because she doesn't want to go back to it. So strong woman. Shout out to that woman, my aunt. So she was having a cookout, and I love cookouts. Who doesn't love cookouts? And when she was having a cookout, she invited us, me and my best friend. Well, of course, she invited the family, so we were going in. My best friend, we were always together, man, me and this guy, especially in '06 and '07, the first 2 years, because he was the first one to learn how to take care of me. And even though I told you about the other people who learned how to take care of me, he was first. So, and because how close we were before my accident, me and him were just like very, very close. So, um, we're at this, we go to this cookout, and like I explained to you guys, he was E, so my mom probably took us there. Um, I don't remember how we got there, honestly, but I remember being there at my aunt's house and her son. Um, at the Growing up, we were in different gangs, So to give a little bit backstory, for example, the gang I grew up around, they're called IGs, and the gang I feel like my cousin was around was called the GDs. And I remember my cousin was so, hood and not scared, and I'm not surprised because if you knew who my aunt was, who his mom was, the lady who was having the cookout, I remember he had his first apartment, and it was like a garage. I thought it was a garage. It looked like a garage, but yo, you owe I remember. Let me just tell how I met my cousin. So my cousin wasn't really around growing up, So, and it's not. It's because of I was told his father. I don't want to say what I don't truly know, but my cousin started coming around. When he got a little older, and thank God, and we all, he loves us, we love him. But at first, when his dad was around, he didn't really come because some circumstances. But I remember seeing him walking in my hood before, and I'm like, yo. I run up to this dude because in my hood, your cousins aren't off limits, especially if they're in the hood. If we're driving around and we see your cousin, unless your cousin, he better not be big. Like what I mean is like somebody who um, shoots at the guys all the time. If you're related to somebody who's a threat, and he's always doing dumb stuff to the guys, it doesn't matter where you see, and that's how crazy it is where I'm from and growing up where I'm from. And I'm so thankful not to be there anymore, and I hate to admit that. And even in the time, I remember I'm like, man, this is crazy the life I'm living. Like I can't tell these guys that. These are the guys who are taking care of me. These are my brothers. But I hate to admit I agreed sometimes. Because like some of my cousins got on my, they were like they were my cousin's cousin. And I remember one of these guys who was my cousin's cousin. We would see him. I would see him in when I got to high school, and he was always talking mess. Anyway, so to get back to, so I remember seeing my cousin, and I'm like, "Yo, you're not supposed to be out here in my hood." And this is that. He was at the candy store, and where he lived wasn't really. I told you guys like my hood was this whole train line, but certain blocks of it was really ours. Like that's where some of us lived, and but if you lived a certain, depending on which blocks you lived on, you might be good. You could walk, especially on if these some of these blocks were connected. So my cousin lived on one of those blocks that where he, but the candy store that he went to was for sure not okay for him to go to if you're in a different gang. Even though we get along with the GDs, at the time, and most of them and stuff like that, because folks and people, if you guys know what that is. So I see my cousin, and this is before my accident, and I run up to him like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like, and I know I said out, but just to give a little bit. Uh, and I'm like, "Yo, what are you doing out here? You're not supposed to be out here. Like, are you checking me? You know what I'm saying? Are you telling me I'm not supposed to be?" And I'm like, no. I mean, I'm just telling you, like if the other guys were to see you, or if the wrong guys see you, and you game bang with them, you game bang with you. He was like, "I can handle myself, type stuff." And I'm like, "I know you can. You probably could, And he's kind of short, you know what I mean? But don't underestimate short guys. If you knew who my other family was, like, and I'll tell a little bit of that, as a filler episode maybe. But anyway, so this guy, I remember he was like, "I live right down the street," and I was like, my aunt, and I don't know if that froze. That was kind of scary. It reminds me of the Ring. My screen froze. I don't know if it froze on your guys' end when you guys watched this video. Anyways, so I remember seeing this dude, and I'm like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And he's like, what? And when I told him, "I'm not checking you. You're my family. I'm just trying to look out for you. If the wrong guys see you, and it might be different, and I can't stop them, in the saying because of the gang life." And I know he grew up around gangs, if I'm not mistaken, and I know he was older than me. And if not, I know he knows the streets. Everybody knows where you're from and how it is where you're from. I hope you do. So he goes, "I live down the street," and I go, "What? You live down the street?" Like, and my mom was very family orientated, and I kind of take after my mom. So when she was family orientated, I kind of like being family orientated. I love being around the family that wants to be around me at least. So I was like, let me see what he says. I'm like, "Hey, can I come over?" And I'm like, I hope he doesn't think I'm on anything dumb, because I'm not the type of setup person. Like setting up people is that's sick to me. You know what I mean? Plotting on somebody, you know, smiling in their face, acting as their friend, even as a gang. Growing up around gangs and stuff, I never set anybody up. I hope not. Not as far as I remember. If anybody says anything different that I can't remember, I. But as far as I know, challenge me, and show me the proof, please. And if I did, that's fake. You know what I mean? That's fake of me. Then I'll be real, because setting up is a whole different ball game to me. So, anyways, uh, and I go to his. He takes me to this house, And I see this big house, and I'm like, no way. But then we walk to the back, and there's a garage, and I'm like, the heck, is he about to? Does he live in a garage? But it was so weird. Like I can't really describe it that much. We're walking to the back, and you see a garage, and you see like even though it's a garage, you see like a little thing. Oh, like it's not like a garage door that you walk up to, and how garage doors look with their door. Eh, So there was something over their door, like he had a little porch or something, but it was outside because we get in and then you see in front of it and it's just something covering the door because you see the door and he had his shoes outside for some reason, I believe, and so I mean, because I didn't take off my shoes as far as I remember. I don't think I did. Anyway, so I remember we get to this door and it had a little glass window, if I'm not mistaken, and we opened the door and I remember seeing on the side of it, no, no, no. So yeah, we opened the door, and when we opened the door, there was a sink right in front of us, and then another room in front of us, and a door. And when I looked in front of me, it was a bathroom, and I was like, "Whoa!" And it was little, it was small, but it had a toilet in there. I don't remember a shower. I don't know. I think he had a shower in there. He had to. But I do remember that little toilet and seeing the bathroom straight ahead and the little sink, I guess the kitchen sink. And then when you step in, you look, you see the sink, you see the bathroom, you turn to your right. There's this stove, and then so the stove, no, no, no. So the sink, okay, so let me face you guys. So we enter the door. I like the shirt. So we enter the door, and then you look to your left. There's a sink. There's the bathroom in front of you, and then there's a little wall, and then another door, and then there was a room in there. And I looked inside, and then I saw I'll get to that, and then you see a stove against, the other wall, and then I think he had a little mini fridge on the other wall, and then you walk in, this little walkway, as you see this and you see that, and then you see the room, and then you see a door, like whatever that's called. So, and then you step in. It's a little dining room. We had a little couch, that extended, and the TV was right in front in the corner, and a window right here, that looked outside, and then another room that you see, once you step into the living room to the right of the couch, and there was a bed in there. It was little room, and it was a 2-bedroom little garage. You know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa. I mean, probably as big. I know you guys can't see it that far, but probably from like my room where it starts to here, and it was two small beds, bedroom, a bathroom, and a little kitchen, and a dining room. So and the bed, when I went into his room, he had a bed against the wall, and I was like, why is there a bed against the wall? And he was like, because I like to shoot, my guns in here. It's like my shooting room, my shooting range or something. I'm like, what? And we went in there one day and we shot. Anyways, I'll tell a little stories about that'll be a filler. So that's who my cousin was. You know what I mean to me, and he was like this. I'm like, whoa. This dude was living on his own at like he was like probably 17 at that time, and I was 13, 12, maybe 13. The oldest had to be. So my cousin was living above my aunt. He had it. There was an apartment above her, and he lived in that apartment. And so I remember where we went there and stuff like that. We're chilling with my aunt, and it was a good time. It was a good time, and we're eating. Oh, I love food back home where I'm from. Food is very delicious. No disrespect. I live in uh Colorado, and the food is not the best in Colorado. You know what I mean? Where I'm from, East Chicago, Indiana. Oh my gosh! And the food in Chicago, delicious. So I'm at my aunt's house. We're eating. You know what I mean? We're having fun. If I'm not mistaken, the 4th of July was around the corner. So, you know what I mean? They're popping off fireworks. That's before the Marina Festival. You know that I told you guys about in '06. That my best friend took me to, and it was so awesome seeing the fireworks. I told you guys from the water and the sky. So crazy, and you couldn't tell the difference. So beautiful. Anyways, so we're at this cookout and we're eating food and it's so delicious. And I remember my cousin, I don't know if he, because at that time it was when he was like standoffish, I feel like. And I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm just telling my story from what I remember. If I'm ever wrong and these people tell me I am, I'll correct it. You know what I mean? And sorry for if I am. Anyway, so my cousin, he comes around, he's eating, chilling out with the fam and stuff. And he goes, "Hey, do you and my brother's there?" And he goes, "Hey, do you and your boys and your brother want to come up and smoke?" And we had weed, and my mom let me smoke, and my friends, she always told them, "You guys better know that I'm not letting my son smoke because I'm a cool mom. I'm letting him smoke because if he was walking, he'll probably be smoking on his own, with you guys, and I don't want him to go crazy, and smoking helps him eat and this and that." Because if they ever said, "Oh, his mom is cool, she lets us smoke, she lets us da da da," she would be like, "No." Uh, and so anyway, she didn't play that. And so I remember my cousin was like, "Hey, you want to smoke?" And his mom knew that he smoked, But my grandma was there, and oh my gosh, I didn't like being. I was so scared to be disrespectful in front of my grandma, or my grandparents. Even though I smoked in front of my mom, it's because she allowed me, and it's not like I could walk upstairs, when I was at home and when my friends would come over smoking, because I even felt uncomfortable in front of my dad. Like I used to smoke with my mom though, as bad as that might sound, you know what I mean? No, I don't think I can get in trouble now, or she can, may she rest in peace. Anyway, so he's like, "Hey," and just to give more insight of how my best friend and his brother were, and they were total opposites. Like my best friend, thank God, he was so private when it came to me and this dude could communicate without like even saying stuff to each other. Like I don't know how I'll just look at this dude because they were the ones who helped me use the bathroom and stuff at the time, and I didn't want people knowing that, especially girls, And I didn't want them knowing when I had to use the bathroom, and again that he was helping me. So I would try to keep it secret. I'll try to give him a look or something. And I don't know how, man. Like when I was first around this dude, and I'm like, "Man, how am I gonna tell this dude?" Like, especially when we have company at my house or whatever, and I'll just look at him, and he'll look at me, and like I remember the very first times that I had to use the bathroom around him and girls or whatever the case, and he'll be like, "Hey, girls, get out!" Like I'll never forget the first time we were hanging out around girls, and I give him the look, and he kicks the girls out, and I'm like, "Yes." And as they leave, he goes, "Hey, bro, is there something you want to tell me? You got to use the bathroom or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro, how'd you know?" He was like, "I don't know, bro. The way you looked at me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just felt it. And yo, bro, me and this dude, it was weird. Like, it was like that with a lot of stuff. Anyway, so I remember we're at this cookout, and and my cousin had this. He always had big dogs, big pit bulls. And I don't know how, because he was a little dude, but these pit bulls were always scared of him. And I'm gonna end it with this story. So I'm like, he had this big pit bull, but he told us, he was like, "It's good." You know what I mean? When I tell him to sit, that I got company coming, he's gonna sit on the porch. Your boy could carry you in, and y'all are good. And I'm like, "Bro, you 100% positive? That's a big dog, bro." Like, oh my gosh. So anyways, we go out there, or we go upstairs, and the dog does. He just sits there, and it's this big, scary looking pit bull. He called him uh, something with a T, man. Um, Ferocious or something, like, man, Tetris or something. Like, I don't know. It was something bad. Like, and it fit him. And he looked scary. And what was crazy is I seen this dog get hit by people and nothing, but this dog had to get put down because he escaped a few times and bit. I don't know, but he was bad. He was big. Anyways, but he feared my cousin. He listened to my cousin. When my cousin said sit, he sit. Cried, not cried, but he sit and looked at him like when the kids beat on him. You know what I mean? Never looked at Anyway, so but the dog don't think that he feared anybody else because we're smoking with my cousin. I'm sitting on this couch, and it's me. And thank goodness he let us go up there because I started getting hot, and I don't do good in the heat. I think I explained that to you guys. Like when my first visit with my dad, and most quads, as far as I know, our body, that part, there's something in our body that regulates when you're hot and when you're cold. That's why when you're cold you shiver, and when you're hot you sweat. Your body helps you cool down. There's ways to doing that. My body, when I was injured, that's gone. um I don't get sick in the cold though. I just shiver, but once I get warm in our warm area, I'm good. It's not like the summer. In the summer, if I get hot and I say I'm starting to get hot, it's like a battery draining. And like, the more worse I get, I could pass out, and I'll get to when that happened one time. But that's not for a few years to go. Anyway, so, and I would always wonder what would happen. Found out the hard way one day. So I'm at we're sitting in the air conditioning, we're smoking, and he told my brother to come up too, but my brother, I forgot what he was doing, and he told my brother, make sure you call so I could tell the dog that, to sit, go let you in. And I don't know why. I think my brother thought he was big and bad, you know what I mean, or something like that. I guess I think he was bigger than the dog, and if he didn't show no fear, he'll be good. Because thank goodness the door was unlocked too. Because so we go up the stairs, and when you go up the stairs, you enter this door. There's a porch. That's where the dog sat, and there was another door. And then when that's the door that you open, and then you're in my cousin's apartment. So my brother stepped in, looked at the dog, and we could see him from inside, and I see him, and my cousin doesn't see him yet. And I see him in there, and I'm smoking, so I'm not thinking nothing of it. And then I pass it, and then when my brother opens the door and steps in, is when my cousin was like, I told you to call me. And sure enough, my brother walks in and he goes, I'm good, bro. This dog is just sitting here. When he turned around, that dog was on all fours. And I don't know what my brother saw, because I saw my brother turn around and I saw the dog on all fours. But when my brother turned around, I couldn't see the dog no more. And I just saw my brother turn around saying, it's all good. He's, and you could tell he's about to say he's just laying here. But when he turned around, all I remember was my brother turned back around and started running. And my cousin was like, no. And when my brother didn't hear none of that. And, man, like if I could tell I always knew that my best friend would have to, be the one to stick up for me, when it comes to him and my brother, Anyway, so I just remember I'm in the middle on the couch. I'm in the middle. My best friend is on the right of me. His brother's on the left of me. And I forgot where my cousin was sitting. I don't know if he was on the couch with us, if it was a long couch or whatever. But I know for sure my best friend was on the right and his brother was on the left. All I remember is sitting on the couch, seeing my brother, and just thinking to myself, I hope my cousin gets this under control, or I hope my best friend doesn't run, because I know my brother's not stopping. You know what I mean? And I don't know what my best friend's brother going to do either. Like, this is my first, I'm getting to know these guys. You know what I mean? Like, they're taking care of me and taking me out, before that was always my mom, So anyways, I'm like, yo, I hope. And, sure enough, my cousin, he gets up. But before he gets up, sure enough, I just see my brother lock eyes with me and me lock eyes with him, and him just keep running, because in the room, there's a room, to the left of us. And I just see my brother keep running to the room, and then my best friend jumps up, and his punk self, if I remember correctly, runs to the room. with my brother, and they shut the door like, "Get your dog under control." And then that's when man, sure enough, thank goodness for my best friend, and we're so much alike in so many aspects, and obviously that's one of them because I don't see myself leaving my boy like that. I hope I wouldn't if I was walking. And he, or even now, I hope I never get into a situation with my boy and a dog. But anyways, so my best friend jumps off the couch, grabs a chair, and um, all this happens in the matter of like 30 seconds. So my best friend jumps off, he grabs this little stool like chair, and he jumps back on the couch, and he's like, "Yo, you better get your dog, bro. I'm not nothing's gonna happen to me or Joey, bro." Like, and my cousin's just getting up slowly, like, and the dog is charging at us. And then my cousin goes, "Sit down," and as soon as he says sit down, that dog stops dead in his tracks and lays down and looks up at him. And then that's when my cousin's like, "Get your ass back on, get back to the porch now." And the dog, you know, looks at him, stands back up, turns back around, and walks slowly back to the porch. And I'm like, "Damn, what the heck?" Like, and that's when he tells me, like, "Yo, y'all gotta be afraid of my dog. I don't gotta be afraid of my dog. That dog listens to me." And then I seen it, one time, the kids beating on the dog. Anyways, summer of '06, still in there. I hope you guys aren't getting fed up with me in the summer of '06 if people are listening. I hope people are listening, and again, I'm doing this to help people, motivate people. If it's not one person, or if I ever, make it to a million, because I would love to help people. And I was with this other guy yesterday, and he was. Anyways, I hope I can help one to a lot. If anything, one is better than nothing. Again. So again, yeah, just telling my story. If you're listening and you know anybody who needs to listen, please tell them to subscribe, to listen, to like. Um, Doing this just to help people. If anything else comes with that, please God, that'll be amazing. So again, just getting to it when I can.